Hi folks, hope you're well. So, the last video went completely differently to what I expected it to go to. Well, I didn't even necessarily expected it, because at the start I always say I don't know where it's going to go, and I didn't. Because in the last one, I was going to talk about the subject of, when I was talking about how you react and stuff like that, about not reacting, I was going to mention about in this world right now. In the UK, I can't talk about other countries because in other countries you have, oh yes, of course you do. In America, you had that bloke who was, I've forgotten his name now. I never actually watched his channel. He was a far right YouTuber who lied and lied and lied and lied and lied and lied and lied. What he was trying to do, he was trying to get people to react, to be angry, to be riled up. They took him to court in the end because he was a proven liar. And he was saying that a load of kids that got shot in the school didn't, it was fake. Right? You have that in America. In the UK, we don't have quite that. Although we do have some. We have left-wing media, we have right-wing media. And they both speak about each other, and they both talk about how the other one. So it's all about the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because they're all speaking about how they're good, the other side is evil. And then the thing I was going to speak about is there is a talk sport couple, Jim White and Simon Jordan. They have won for, I think, the last 5 years, the award for the best show. Jim White is one of the most horrific people that I've seen. Whenever I see him, I wince, because I know how he operates, and I know he operates in this way because he wants his show to win. So he will say things to get a reaction. He will say things to get, to try to get Simon or someone else to take the bait. But to take the bait on something which is bloody well ridiculous. So he will quote something knowing it's so ridiculous that that person has to take the bait, and they get angry, and that's what makes the show. But I was thinking, if this show was in America, I'm sure at some point in time, Simon Jordan would have taken a gun into the studio and killed Jim White. Because obviously Simon Jordan's heart rate and stress rate goes through the blinking roof doing this show. Other shows, you have, and I mentioned this before, as a Man United fan, I've seen Man United fan channels. United Stand right now is one of the most popular of Man United fan channels. I think they took some advice, or basically they learned from Newcastle, because when Mike Ashley was in control of Newcastle, Newcastle had woes. When Newcastle had woes, their fan channel was all negative, was all fake headline, constantly. Woe is woe is woe is woe is woe. The owner is evil, the owner is bad, the club is going down, 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 down. Partly because when you do that, you get fans paying for messages, because they know paid messages will be read out. So they pay for the messages. You can then have a membership thing where members get special videos, and these fans feel special with that, because they're part of the woe. They're part of supporting, recognising the woe that the club is in. So United Stand copied this, and all of it is just reaction, 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 reaction. And it's all about making money. And I'll see these things and I'll go, how on earth do these people get away with this? How on earth are people actually watching this stuff? You know, they see the headline and they go and watch the video believing for a second that what he's saying is true. Because obviously people are functioning very, very much. Isn't it insane? Isn't it insane that we have in the Garden of Eden 2 trees? And we have a church. And the church has never, ever, not the early church, not the church now, no church, as far as I know, has ever pointed out that we're still eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and we shouldn't be. We were told not to. Right? So we are in disobedience to God. Yeah. I find it most bizarre. Say, I mean, the Pentecostal church locally. Yeah, when I was going there, I saw the pastor. I saw what the pastor was doing. And God said to me, you know, he wants me to say something. I didn't exactly know. I knew basically what God wanted me to say, that it was going to be seen as negative. And I said to God, they're going to tell me to find another church. They won't welcome me back. So I don't really want to go back anyway, but that's not the point. You know that this is going to trigger that reaction from them. And I said, okay. I don't know when you want me to say this, but of course I will say it, yeah. And there was that time. During the prayer meeting, when the pastor started praying that God would help the hospitals and GPs to take care of COVID and cancer. And when he was praying this, everyone else was saying, oh, beautiful. What a lovely prayer. Well done. And I was sitting there thinking, are you kidding me? This is a Pentecostal church. And you're giving the world. You're asking God to help the world to provide some sort of healing for people. You are a Pentecostal pastor. Talk about someone who has no idea who he is. And I knew, okay, that was the time. So, yeah, I just started praying, and it ended up that I was praying that God would send us people that will help us to walk, learn to walk. Because this man clearly wasn't going to do that. As most won't. But something we need to learn to walk in is no longer eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Look at this on this video. We have all the leaves falling down. That's decay. The trees are getting older. That's decay. That all comes from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That death and decay. In the video, you can clearly see it. You can see the doggies getting older. Eventually, after 14 years, they're gone. They're dead. All down to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That death and decay all comes from that. Romans 8 18 plus talks about creation waiting for the children of God, so that creation can come back to God. So all that death and decay in creation can be gone. How many times have you heard that being spoken about in church? And how we need to therefore learn to walk as sons so that creation can come back to God. It's pantomime. It is. It's very much like pantomime, because in pantomime you need to get the crowd to react, because you have the oh no it isn't moments. Yes. So you have to get the crowd to react, to jeer and cheer. But yeah, I suppose to a certain degree they want people to be emotionally involved. That's part of it. Part of it also is the woe is me. Yeah, and you have to have a bad guy. But it's just nonsense. All of it. Absolute blinking nonsense. And a lot of people fill their day with it. That's why you've got things like Fox News in America. Fox News is just some political pantomime. It's absolutely and totally demonic. Yeah. So you have lesser versions and all around. People love it. I remember years ago, not so much now, I don't know what it is now, but I remember years ago we had newspapers like The Sun and News of the World and stuff like that, and it was the newspapers were all that. That's what they were. Those newspapers were that and nothing more. We're about reaction. We're about stories that would get you to react, get you to be angry, get you to phone in, write in, whatever. Most of it was getting you to look down on people so that you'd say, well, at least I'm not as bad as that person, so that your standards were lowered. There was a load of that years ago. The worst of which was the sport. The sport was utter trash. But to be honest, every newspaper was. And now, most people don't read newspapers. They read crap that they find on Facebook and Twitter. And it's lazy. But people go with it and they react to it. What was cancel culture? Reacting. The idea that we should cancel people because of what they said years ago. Insane. You're only making sure that in the future people will cancel you based upon what you're saying now. If the mental hospitals hadn't been closed, most of these people that were suggesting these things would be in those mental hospitals. Because there's insanity involved in that. Well, as I say, especially as a church, what I can't get, is the whole idea that the church can ban people. Right? The reason why is quite simple. To ban people, you've got to have the person has done this. The consequence of that is banning, right? Okay, judgment and condemnation. And unforgiveness. So when the Lord says, if you judge, you'll be judged. If you condemn, you'll be condemned. And if you don't forgive, you won't be forgiven. There. It's in what you're bloody doing. How can you read that scripture and not recognise that you're doing it? Because we do that. we do things and we justify what we're doing as that good and evil. The person has done something that was evil. So therefore, if we do a lesser evil, that lesser evil is now good compared to what that person did. So even though we've done something wrong, our wrong is not as bad as their wrong. So our wrong is now a good wrong. Right? Yeah. As I say, to me, there's so much I don't understand. I'd love to meet someone in the future who is now walking, or will be now walking as a son, who can tell me what it's like to be churchy, why people are churchy, because I do not understand. So I hope that God will provide me someone in the future who is walking as a son then, but has been churchy, fully understands churchy, so that they can help me to understand that, because I have no understanding. How on earth people can give their life to the church and do things according to church, I don't know. It is bizarre. But then again, that's because for me, I've not had that. I've not been in that. And I'm thankful to God. Yes, as I said, it's been a lonely existence. But thank God for that. Because I could be churchy. Yeah. So thank God for loneliness. If it means the only person I can go to is God, then great. You take care. God bless. Speak to you soon. Bye.